Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur AWSM Radio broadcaster. And welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want you to be part of the conversation, so find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, at Colt S. Taylor. You can now subscribe to the podcast version of this show if you're not available on the weekends. We all get busy. At anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. And of course, if you haven't already, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com. All right, folks, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. Friends, before we get started today, I want to make two announcements. First, this is the second anniversary of the first time I broadcast on AWSM Radio. That's right. It was the midst of 2020. Middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, AWSM Radio said, you know who we need to hear from on a weekly basis? Who has a voice that's not like nails on a chalkboard? Me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. And I tell you what, I've enjoyed every week that I've been here, including the weeks when I've not been here, when I've been on vacation. So, first and foremost, thank you to AWSM Radio for having me on here on a regular basis. Thanks for not kicking me off. I'm glad you enjoy what I do. And second, thank you to everyone who's listening that has made this show a fantastic success. In fact, we have a parade of celebrities coming in this week, or today. What's that? No one's coming? No one made any calls? I don't know any actual celebrities? Well, at least I can say that now I've been here for 2 years, my pay is going to be through the roof. What's that? It's not. Oh, I see. Well, at least I'm still here. That's all that matters. So, but there is a new feature on this show for you, for the fantastic folks that listen. If you, my friends, are on the twitch.tv, on Thursday nights or Friday mornings, when I put together this show, I will be broadcasting it live on Twitch. You can see my beautiful face. The picture they used for me is a little outdated. My beard's not as scraggly and looking like a hermit like it used to. But you can see behind the scenes of me recording in my multi-million-dollar studio here. And please join us. All right. Let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. For real this time. Okay, pausing for a moment. I'll be right back. First up this week, some sad news. Actress and singer Nichelle Nichols, best known for Lieutenant Uhura and the original Star Trek series, passed away this week at the age of 89. She was a super fan favorite. Was often on Twitter and whatnot, and made some appearances, but she passed away from natural causes. She was on the original Star Trek when it first aired in 1966. It was a groundbreaking role because it was notable that there was a black woman in a primetime television series. African Americans had been on TV at the time, but usually in minor roles. Or playing domestic workers, but she was super important part of the futuristic multicultural Star Trek crew, and she played a big role on there and whatnot. In fact, I believe she's widely known for the first ever interracial kiss on TV, as when Captain Kirk, of course, William Shatner and her kiss during the episode, the first time it had ever been aired on TV. And the episode, they were like under the influence of an alien force, but it was the first time an interracial kiss was ever shown on TV, and it was on Star Trek. Now, there's a story which she confirmed that she was thinking about leaving the series altogether, but Martin Luther King talked her out of it. He said that it was immensely important for people to see her on TV, a black woman in a role of authority on the bridge of a starship. When I was the future, but it was important for people to see that. So he convinced her to stay on the show, and she was just blown away to meet Reverend Martin Luther King, as it were. But it was only 3 seasons, but she reprised the role for a variety of movies as well. Martin Luther King called it the first non-stereotypical role portrayed by a black woman in television history. Afterwards, she did some shows, made some appearances. She went to conventions all the time, things like that. She was born Grace Dell Nichols, but changed her name as Nichelle and when she was a teenager. A little bit of trivia there for you. She was a singer as well. Had a 4-octave vocal range, performed in local clubs. She met Duke Ellington, who took her on tour, actually. And then she moved to Los Angeles in the 1960s. And according to Nichols, when she got the call, when Jane Roddenberry was creating the series, she got a call while she was in Europe. And the agent said, "They're doing Star Trek. I don't know what Star Trek is or what it is, but you should do it." Originally, she was not... her name, Uhura, her name was not in the original script. And so she gave herself the name while they were filming. She read the book. She got the name from a book called Uhura, meaning freedom in Swahili. And she took the name. Jane Roddenberry thought it was too harsh. The name of the book was Uhuru, Uhuru. Jane Roddenberry thought it was a little too harsh, and then she said, "Well, why don't you make an alteration to it, soften the end with an A, and it'll be Uhura." And he said, "That's it. That's your name. You named it. It's yours." So it's a little fun little trivia there about there. So Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek, passed away this week at the age of 89. Very sad. A lot of Star Trek alumni went to Twitter and released statements. William Shatner and all these folks released statements praising her and how much she'll be missed. So if you haven't, check out one of the old Star Trek movies or series. She does a very good job. Sticking with a space motif, my friends, we now go to space, where NASA and the European Space Agency are going back to the moon, apparently. I don't know if they left, another on there since the 70s. I don't know. They're going back to the moon. But, obviously, they don't going to use those Apollo space capsules that they did in the 60s and 70s. They have to make a brand new spaceship to get up there. And they got one called Artemis 1. And they're going to have a test flight to the moon. They're going to send it up, fly it back, and then have it come back. Because, you got to test these things. You can't, just send folks up there and hope for the best. I mean, you could. I just, it's not very, recommended that you do that. But this week, the European Space Agency announced that Shaun the Sheep will be joining the mission later this year. Now, calm down. It's not an actual sheep. It is a sheep, but it's a character. It's a claymation character. It's also now a cartoon. It's very popular in England and Europe and whatnot. It's a little sheep. Shaun the Sheep has many, many different adventures. Well, they're going to put a doll of Shaun the Sheep in the capsule, fly up to the moon, and fly it back. Probably to yourself, that's kind of strange, but actually, it isn't. Actually, there was a bit of a tradition to do this. Apparently, Yuri Gagarin, first human in space, took a small doll with him on his first ever space flight. It's a bit of a tradition to have space crews bring a few toys with them on missions. And usually, even on manned flights, there's sometimes toys in there, and now there will be a doll in there flying around. In a statement from the European Space Agency, Director for Human and Robotic Exploration, David Parker, said, "It is an exciting time for Sean, and for us at the ESA. We're woolly very happy that he's been selected for the mission, and we understand that, although it may be a small step for a human, it's a giant leap for lambkind." Well, comedy isn't exactly rocket science, but sometimes it is. But anyways, the Shaun the Sheep, who has a Twitter account apparently, also released a statement saying, "Bah, rimshot." So they are going to launch this this year, maybe as early as this month on August 23rd. And it will send Sean into space to a trip to the moon and back. If it all goes well, it'll come back in 39 to 42 days. The spacecraft will perform a flyby of the moon and use this is a quote, use lunar gravity to gain speed and propel itself 70,000 kilometers beyond the moon, almost 500,000 kilometers from Earth, farther than any human or sheep has ever traveled. So, Shaun the Sheep going into the sky, flying, and hopefully coming back during the unmanned test flight to make sure this thing works, that they can get people to the moon and back. So, when this happens, my friends, I will report it to you here on AWSM Radio. Would I fly to the moon? No, I don't even like regular flying, let alone flying outside of the atmosphere. So, I'm fine with the ground. I'm fine with reporting on it. Yeah. So, anyways, good luck, Shaun the Sheep. I hope you make it back in one piece. Next up, friends, missiles. They fly in the sky. They're really just spacecraft with bobs on the end. Well, anyways, as you may know, a few countries have intercontinental ballistic missiles, because how can you reach out and touch someone than being able to, obliterate a city in 30 minutes? Well, here's the thing about missiles. You gotta test them every once in a while and make sure they still work. And United States does it, and they every once or twice a year, they test Minuteman missiles. Make sure the components work. I don't know which one. I don't know how they select one. Maybe they take one out of a silo. Like, we're gonna test that one. Make sure the rest work. There's just something that they do. Anyways, they are not testing one. They're delaying it this year because things are a little tense right now around the world between Russia and Ukraine, but specifically right now between the United States and China. Yes, China. As you may have heard, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan this week. Taiwan is considered by China to be a renegade province, and they keep saying one of these days they're going to invade, and boy howdy, they do not like it when people visit Taiwan, especially high-ranking government officials. The last time a House Speaker visited Taiwan was in the mid-90s. Newt Gingrich. Remember good old Newt? Probably not if you're very young. Or when I say very young, younger-ish than me. But that was the last time he visited. Last time a House Speaker visit was him in the 90s. And why he visited in the 90s? Well, there was the third Taiwan Strait crisis. What were the first two? Well, bit of history here. So, China really wants Taiwan, pining away for the last, let's just say, since maybe the early 50s, late 40s, when the communist forces beat the nationalists during the Chinese Civil War. Nationalists fled to Taiwan. Communists took over all of China. And that's pretty much how it's been since then. The first two Taiwan Strait crises were, I believe, the 50s and 60s, where China threatened to invade. tried to blockade the island. The United States came in and you can't do that. They were probably going to invade in the early 50s, but then the Korean War broke out, and then the United States remobilized much of its military, and they haven't done that since then. The third Taiwan Straits crisis took place in the 90s, where Taiwan was lobbing missiles over Taiwan and doing exercises, and then President Clinton sent in aircraft carrier groups through the Taiwan Straits, and China had to stop because they couldn't risk accidentally hitting a United States ship. However, 30 years later now, China has a much larger military and has been specifically gearing itself for a Pacific confrontation with whoever that may be. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. A lot of countries in the area are very concerned about Japan, the Philippines, Malaysia, even Vietnam, Singapore. There's a territorial dispute along the Spratly Islands. There's just a lot going on there. There's just a lot going on there. And Pelosi decided to visit, and they are, boy howdy, they are real mad. Holy moly, real mad. And are going to be shooting more missiles over it, violating airspace. They don't think this will pop off into a war situation, but hard to say. So something definitely to watch to see what is going on there. Fun fact, after the Chinese Civil War, Taiwan continued to represent China as China until the 70s. It was on the UN, things like that. And then Richard Nixon and other countries made a deal where China, that we know China today, is now officially China, and Taiwan is kind of just Taiwan. Only 14 countries recognize Taiwan as a country. China will not have any diplomatic relationships with any country that recognizes Taiwan as a country. So right now, only 14, including the Vatican City. Go figure. The United States does not have a diplomatic relations with Taiwan. It only has an ambassador in China, but they do have the American Institute in Taipei, where, State Department workers will take a leave of absence, work for this company for a while, and then when they come back, they'll rejoin the State Department and get paid. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, officially, not a country, but unofficially, they send people over there. And the United States, by law, must provide weapons and protection to Taiwan to maintain its democracy. So whatever that means as well. But anyways, yeah, they're not happy. And hopefully this crisis dies down a bit. My friends, while you are monitoring the crisis in the Taiwan Straits, you're going to need music to listen to. Yes, that's the segue here. So, who better to listen to than my pal DC, with his 3 shows over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First up, Fridays at 9 p.m., it's DC Live in Effect. You do not want to miss out while he smashes it on the 1s and 2s, kicking the beats from his South Florida compound. Then on Saturdays, it's DC House Party Saturdays. DC brings his freestyling DJ to the max, and he gives you all the Miami vibe without actually having to be there. From the top clubs to the bars, DC will bring the party to you Saturdays at 10 p.m. And then Sundays at 10 p.m., once again, DC Live in Effect. So, my friends, just review. Fridays at 9, DC Live in Effect. Saturdays at 10, DC House Party Saturdays. And then Sundays at 10 p.m., DC Live in Effect. All here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. Next up, folks, we go to entertainment news. We're going to talk about Batman. Well, actually, Batgirl. They filmed a Batgirl movie. That's right. Warner Brothers Discovery filmed Batgirl in Glasgow, Scotland, I think. Filmed the entire movie there. But it's never going to be released. No, they've shelved the entire movie. It's not going to be on cinemas. Not going to be on streaming HBO Max. It's just done. It's just done. It's not unusual for movies not to be released. it's unusual that they've done all the filming and have spent $70 million on it, and they decided, I guess it was so bad that they're not going to put any more money into releasing it or finishing up special effects. It's just going to be done. Weird. And I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, because Batgirl is being played by Leslie Grace, fantastic actress, and then also appearing in the movie, Michael Keaton as the Batman, as Batman from the 80s Batman, Brendan Fraser, who I think is amazing, as the villain Firefly, and then J.K. Simmons would be Commissioner James Gordon, just like he was in the other movies, the Batman vs. Superman movies. So, strange that this happened. I guess it was just really, really awful. Who knows? But, I mean, I'm sure Glasgow is also equally disappointed because they gave some money to get the movie filmed there so that the entire movie would be filmed in Glasgow, and no one's ever going to see it. They called it a huge deal at the time. According to a spokesperson for Warner Brothers Discovery, quote, "The decision to not release Batgirl reflects our leadership's strategic shift as it relates to the DC Universe and HBO Max. Leslie Grace is an incredibly talented actor, and this decision is not a reflection of her performance. We're incredibly grateful to the filmmakers of Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt and their respective casts and hope to collaborate with everyone again in the near future." They've also apparently cut that movie too. Yeah, so this kind of was decided in, I guess, this week, but the leadership changed when Warner Brothers merged with Discovery in May 2021, with David Zaslav as the new CEO. There's part of a cost-cutting thing, I guess, but very, very, very strange. They spent $70 million, and so it is not apparently it's saving them money by not spending any more money on it. No way to recoup any of the costs. So, so I mean, apparently, hopefully they're going to save all the footage. Maybe one day someone will change their mind and put money into it and release it once again. Because I kind of wanted to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. I mean, Batman 1988. It's really, really good. I thought it was pretty good. But maybe not. Poor Brendan Fraser, though. Like, that guy has not caught a break in a while. He really needs to have he's in that, the Doom Patrol series. But he's a robot. He just does the voice. So hopefully he'll be able to he'll get another movie role too, because he's pretty good. The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, good movies. Big Brendan Fraser fan. That's hard to say. And then Glasgow. Come on, Glasgow's a great city. I want to visit there one day. Maybe AWSM Radio will send me there for a remote broadcast. What's that? No chance? Okay, well, one can hope. Next, friends, although Batgirl is not coming out, not being released, what's coming back to Taco Bell this September? Mexican pizza! Yes, that's right. Mexican pizza is returning as a permanent menu item on September 15th. It was pulled in 2020 and made a failed comeback in May of this year. Like, oh, well, if it failed, why are they bringing it back? It didn't fail because it wasn't popular. It failed because it was so popular, they ran out of ingredients. Like, they couldn't keep up with demand. That's why, because of supply chain issues, they had to pull it in 2020. Well, they pulled it in 2020 to simplify the menu, because the Taco Bell menu used to be ridiculous. It was very popular, so they brought it back in May of this year. But ingredients shortage, they couldn't keep up with demand due to its popularity, and was promoted by Doja Cat on TikTok. I guess they pushed that, and also Dolly Parton. And Dolly Parton also promoted it as well. It's a thing. It's a thing. Apparently one restaurant in California made more than 1,000 pizzas using beef and refried beans in one day. Made 1,000 of these little pizzas in one day. It is, I guess it's very, I have never had it. Although, now I'm kind of curious. Now I'm kind of curious of what a Taco Bell Mexican pizza is. Ugh. I guess I'll have to, I do have a Taco Bell near my headquarters. I guess I will take a look sometime in September, see what this is about, and report back to you about it. So the company said that Taco Bell worked diligently to resolve depleted agreements and supply chain challenges. These sort of shortages, although not great, do pump up demand and increase interest in products. So remember when Popeyes did their nationwide chicken sandwich in 2019 before, supply chain issues? They ran out of chicken, and then everyone wanted to go to Popeyes. So, yeah. So, also fans of the Mexican pizza are anticipating the release of Mexican Pizza, the musical, starring Doja Cat and Dolly Parton. I don't know how I missed this. Obviously, if you know me, I'm a big Dolly Parton fan. I mean, I think that's pretty clear from all the Dolly Parton songs and music I play and the stories I do. But apparently, Doja Cat, hopefully I'm saying that name right, and Dolly Parton are doing a Mexican pizza musical for Taco Bell. I imagine they're paying them both pretty well. So, in a month, in some days, Mexican pizza is coming back. So, I will go out and try one and report back to you what it is like. And if I don't, feel free to tell me to do it, and I'll go and do it. Speaking of food, we now go to Hong Kong, where they're having the second annual Food Expo in the Convention and Exhibition Center in Hong Kong. Just one little rule you have to abide by. You're not allowed to taste anything. It is a food expo, but there is no taste testing there. Why? Coronavirus. Yes, COVID's still kind of causing issues over there. A little bump up in terms of infections. So once again, they're having a no taste testing at this food expo. Must be just awful. Like, I can't imagine anything worse. Going into a convention hall full of wonderful smells and looks, not allowed to taste anything, which is just terrible. Oh my goodness. So, but this is how they did things last year, so it's not too unexpected. According to Sophia Chong, the acting CEO of the expo, said, "We understand that visitors would like to taste samples. We hope we can resume this arrangement after the pandemic when it's safe and hygienic to do it. But no taste testing." But she said she doesn't think it's going to impact the popularity of the Food Expo, because according to her, the number of exhibitors participating this year in this year's Food Expo actually exceeded that of last year. So more people are participating this year than they did last year. So they're also distributing consumption vouchers. Apparently, the Hong Kong government is sending out 2,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is apparently about $255 here, I guess that's the exchange rate, to almost over 7 million people on Sunday. And the Food Expo is expected to boost the visitors' appetite for shopping. So, but that's a bit of a shame. That's a shame that you go food. I mean, hey, I go to any Food Expo, but walking around not able to taste anything, that would be rough. That would be really, really rough. So Hong Kong has seen around 3,000 to 4,000 daily infections, which is quite a tick up, prompting fears of a resurgence of more than of the COVID-19 virus. 1.2 million people fell sick and 9,300 people died in the first 4 months of this year. And so, I mean, there's only 7.5 million people there, so, do the math. That's a good chunk of people that fell sick. Fortunately, vaccines, death rate, way down. So, get your vaccinations, people. Don't let Joe Rogan or Alex Jones tell you otherwise. Especially Alex Jones, because he's getting sued out of existence. Not for that, something else. But anyway, I'm not covering that guy. But anyways, Hong Kong Food Festival. Look, but don't eat. I mean, going to a food expo where you're not allowed to eat anything, it's like having a radio and not turning it on to listen to the rock sessions. Look at that. A seamless segue. The Rock Sessions is our drive time show we have here at AWSM Radio, making sure your evening commute home is fun, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. My pal, the beautiful, fantastic Rocks will make it rock style, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and because you're fantastic, I'll throw in Friday for free. Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., only here on AWSM Radio. Moving along, folks. Listen, I've talked about Taco Bell, Mexican pizza, and space, so why not combine those two? Because a mysterious object was found in a tree somewhere, near the city of Veracruz in Mexico. A popular Mexican weather reporter has apparently stirred quite a brouhaha after posting pictures of what he says was a strange metal sphere that fell from the sky and landed in a tree. No one knows what it is. Experts say it is unlikely to be bits of space junk from terrestrial launches, apparently. They're not too sure what it is. Things fall out of the sky from time to time, but this doesn't look like things that you usually do, so people aren't exactly sure. Apparently on August 1st, is Isidro Canaluna, who runs popular social media accounts where he makes videos on weather in Mexico, released photos of a strange object dated on July 31st. Although it's dark and blurry, the photo appears to show a sphere, which appears to have at least one antenna-like pole sticking out of it and landed on top of a tree. So this guy, I guess, has over 100,000 followers on Facebook, and the post has gotten over 3,000 likes and 3,000 shares so far. He said people should, this thing is just sitting on top of a tree. But he says don't go there, because it could be radioactive or have valuable information, and should only be opened by people, official-looking people, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, he also says it could be a piece of Chinese rocket that was spinning out of control. A rocket, a Chinese Long March 5B rocket, launched last week, and then the experts said the 25-ton booster stage would make an uncontrolled re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere with debris possibly hitting the ground. Pieces of the rocket were found this week, but it was found in Asia, not in Mexico. So they're not quite sure what this is, or where it came from, or even if it is actual space junk. It could just be, I don't know, it kind of looks like a weird-looking metal balloon with a thing sticking out of it. I don't know. According to Martin Sweening, a distinguished professor of space engineering at the Surrey Space Center in the United Kingdom, said to Newsweek, it's a bit difficult to say from the picture. I've enhanced it. It's somewhat, and it looks like a fuel tank of some sort with a feeder pipe. It may be either a titanium tank from a spent rocket stage, but it doesn't look discolored from the heat of re-entry. Neither is it damaged from a high-speed landing. It may have nothing to do with the Chinese rocket stage. Well, anyways, obviously, mysterious thing in a tree fell from the sky. People are thinking aliens and UFOs. So, Hard to say. So apparently experts are taking a look at, apparently on Reddit, there are 1,800 upvotes on it, on the UFO subreddit. Some people think it's a tank, and other people say, God, please let this be an alien. So we'll see. I don't know if this will pop up in the news again, but weird tanks and trees in Mexico. Yeah, that's the story. We now go to Europe, to the French Alps. Remember last week I did a story about K2 and people dying up there, like 1 in 8, 1 in 6. Well, a French mayor is getting so irritated with mountain climbers getting stuck up on the mountain, being rescued, and though some of them dying, that he wants climbers to pay a $15,000 deposit, a rescue and funeral deposit for folks up trying to climb these mountains. According to the mayor of Saint-Claviers-les-Bains, Jean-Marc Pelix, the town on the French side, says too many unqualified climbers are gambling with their lives on the mountain, and recent hot weather has made conditions treacherous. The municipality of St. Gervais plans to take measures to adapt to their irresponsibility of some and the risks they may make rescuers run. So he's charging 15,000 euros. The average cost of a rescue is 10,000 euros, and the average cost of a funeral for someone is 5,000. Quote, it is unacceptable that the French taxpayer who bears these costs, adding that those who make the climb now do so with death in their backpack. The guy does not like climbers. So the conditions along Corridor de Clôture are very dangerous. It's known as the Corridor of Death, apparently, due to rock falls, drought, heat waves have made it very, very, very dangerous to climb. On the Italian side of the mountain, mayor of the ski resort of Curmeru, Roberto Rota, said that his plan was surreal. In comments confirmed by his press office, Rota said, told the daily Corriere della Sera that the mountain is not a property. We, as administrators, can limit ourselves to reporting suboptimal routes conditions, but asking for a deposit to climb to the top is surreal. The decision to close the path around is made if there is objective risk. So the Italian side thinks that charging climbers is not the way to go. The French side said, they want euros if you're going to climb the French side of the mountain. So, well, I mean, if it's very expensive to rescue people, I guess, if you're a good climber, shouldn't be a problem. If you just think you saw something on the TV and want to do it, well, it's just at their expense. Or go to Italy, and they apparently don't care. They give you a bottle of wine and said, go for it. I don't know if that's true. Now, my friends, here at AWSM Radio, we don't have mountain climbing coverage, but we do have basketball coverage. That's right, Wednesdays at 9 p.m., you want to listen to the Rack with Mac for all things basketball. Join NBA expert Mac Daddy as he brings you a full hour of high-flying hoops expertise for all things NBA. Tune in to Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. to the Rack with Mac. And if that's not enough sports for you, if you just want more sports, well, my friends, What's Going On is the name of the second show at 10 p.m. on AWSM Radio on Wednesdays. It is our Fox Sports affiliate show, providing listeners with over 150 combined years of sports knowledge, hosted by the great Nate Brown and his crew. They have been a staple of Western New York sports for the last 2 decades, and now they're national, and we've got them here on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. So, to review your sports needs, it's To the Rack with Mac, Wednesdays at 9 p.m., What's Going On, Wednesdays at 10 p.m., only here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. Well, that just about wraps up this week's second anniversary Saturday report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'll be back next week. Remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, and now on Twitch at Colt S. Taylor, so please follow me at those locations. Subscribe to the podcast version of the show at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor, and of course bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com. Until next week, my friends, I'm Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.